points for a decidedly archaic social attitude of the lyrics, but that is no Dick Van Dyke's fault. Performance wasn't perfect, but it had charm and it had chutzpah. I liked it. Had that cheery Dick Van Dyke plumminess of his speaking voice, I agree, coming through. His singing, I agree, lovely and chocolatey smooth, and his lower notes, if a bit middly and Kermity-esque at the higher end, in the best way. Ashley, I'm glad you've called this for King of the Swingers so that Paul won't slay me for doing it again. 94 Kenny Rogers Roasters for Dick Van Dyke from Martin in Orkney.
I gave it a high score. I'm quite up for this being in consideration for King of the Swingers.
The Jungle VIP. Ashley and Paul says Craig and Sharon and Rutherglen. When we think of Dick Van Dyke, we think of him as much of a singer.
Van Bleep.
As much as I'm not doing that. I'm putting some respect on his name. We think of him as much of a singer as an actor. 95 Kenny Rogers Roasters from us. On the crime front, our daughter absolutely loved Diagnosis Murder when she was about 8 years old.
It was fantastic because it had family in it. And doctoring and criming.
Yes, it's all of your favourite things. Leanne and Chris are having a bit of a PC moment with Mr. Van Dyke's sing-song. It's just a wee bit creepy. We get it. It's an old song from a different time, and I'm already working on my rebuttal song for my fella. Hey, big mansion, my telly, fix my hair dryer. It's smoking when I blow dry. Just a list of objects and things to be fixed.
You wish men could do things like that nowadays.
My dad can. My dad's great at fixing
That's
stuff.
good. Yeah,
Mainly with tape, and then it melts, and then I get injured. But until it melts, it's a great job. MacGyver! Was he a detective?
See, there was ones that I've looked at. Did he fall into the realms of that? Because
Did he have a
lot
badge,
of
Paul?
his... No, but
Then it doesn't
a
count.
lot of his fighting was more in an international spy basis.
And he was also a pacifist. Which is why
He didn't kill.
he was never wanted to carry a gun, only carried like a stapler.
Yeah, but then he would
clip.
make a projectile weapon
Yeah,
from...
it wasn't a gun. So that's the difference. So,
I would say MacGyver doesn't count more just because of the international flavour. It wasn't like ground street level crime fighting.
okay. Anyway, Leanne and Chris say it's 95 Kenny Rogers Roasters, of course. Chris is a long-suffering criminal program's husband. I love Columbo, Heart to Heart, and of course Murder, She Wrote. And I have to mention Lovejoy, because you're going to talk about it.
Oh, Lovejoy.
Do you love Lovejoy?
Ian McShane is fantastic.
Oh, I love Ian McShane, though. We have a lot of love for Ian McShane. He's got that dirty vibe. Do
Oh,
you know
he's
what I
super
mean?
dirty, and he's like, he went out with like dirty people as well.
Ian McShane in Deadwood, Ian McShane in Lovejoy, Ian McShane in Game of Thrones. I love him. He's great.
He's in the John Wick movies. I saw the 4th John Wick movie.
Oh, how was it?
It's very long.
But how was it?
It wasn't rubbish.
Paul, have you had a sunshine week? Because that's the first time you've complimented a film in like a year.
It's because I go and watch rubbish films.
But it wasn't rubbish.
No, it wasn't rubbish.
Oh, that's literally like a glowing response. If he was Mark Kermode, that would be like 100%. It had problems. Oh, here we go.
Well, it's 2 hours and 49 minutes. How long does a film need to
But
be?
you like sitting on the pictures. That's too long.
Getting old.
Okay. Kate and Sunny Open says a solid 85 Kenny Rogers Roasters from me. Sounds like he could belt out a few classics and sounds like a decent fellow. That's to be read out in a Cockney accent, by the way. Oh, hold on. That's a solid 85 from me. Sounds like he could belt out a few classics and sounds like a decent fellow.
That was too good.
I was doing a Cockney accent.
Oh, I thought you were doing not Dick Van Dyke's Cockney
No.
accent. Right.
Jen Jones says, if you think I'm going to badmouth Dick Van Dyke, you're wrong. That had a few technical issues, but cannot drop any more than 2 roasters. So 98 Kenny Rogers Roasters from Jen Jones, who's often a discerning voice. Well, what is it, Paul? You've got a face on. He's got a face on. Ashley and Paul. Fart are you guys speaking about? Bum notes. Fart are you guys speaking about? Bum notes. It was the octave changes midstream as well as the poor rendition that got me. 15 Kenny Rogers Roasters only, I'm afraid. Hope DVD has no more on DVDs and stays at the acting. Les and Elgin. Oh, I know it's not fair. Give him a higher score. It's Dick Van Dyke. He's a national treasure. He's delightful. And when he sang the song, I could see his eyebrows moving in time with it in my heart. Do you know what I mean? Because I know what his face does. We've got more scores. Spin says Dick Van Dyke's performance has been rated 48 Kenny Rogers roasters by Spin. It sounded alright. Thank you for playing. Annie and Polly have given it 49 from Annie and 34 from Polly. Francisco Flamingo gives it 81 Kenny Rogers roasters. Simon says Dick Van Dyke's performance was below average. I'm giving it 45 Kenny Rogers roasters. Lynn Williams has got in touch with what is definitely, even though I really fancy this man, definitely is not a detective. She says, because you've now opened the goal that wide,
I said crime fighters from the start.
I'm now also having Angel from the Buffy spin-off as a favourite detective.
No.
Helping the helpless and solving strange mysteries.
No.
Plus a young David Boreanaz.
You're fighting the supernatural, no.
What? But like Sam Vimes, who was the commander of the Night Watch in Ankh-Morpork, he fought the supernatural, like make-believe dragons and such like.
No.
And I will say supernatural is allowed if you're a supernatural detective and you have a badge. Like, oh,
But Angel didn't.
RIPD.
That's fine. Angel didn't.
No, Angel didn't have a badge, but I'm sticking by my badge rule for everybody, not just for vampires, but for everybody. Tell me your next person on your list.
My next person on the list actually conforms to your rules.
Yes!
It is his greatest role